Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Why does it say my mic is muted until the video ends? I don't know whether I'm... Okay, I assume I'm broadcasting now. 2 weeks in a row, a rough start. Doesn't matter. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you might happen to be in the world. Welcome to the IAG Live Streaming Show. It is Friday, the 28th of November, 2025. And I'm in Macau, broadcasting still here from Macau. 34 days to go till the end of the year, 3 days in November, 31 in December, and just 22 days to go until the end of the IAG year. We always close our office on October 19, go into holiday mode until generally the first Monday in January, which is what it will be next year, Monday, the 5th of January, 2026, I believe. And as always, we have our intrepid studio producer, Oscar Guiaro. Come on in, Oscar. How are you?
I'm okay. Good.
Oscar, what's going on with it? What's going on with the start of these videos? Come on.
Christmas is invading us, you see.
Oh, I see. I see Desi's gone wild with the Christmas decorations behind you there. They're all over the place. Yes. Get into the festive season. That's it. Very good, Oscar. So, well, anyway, I'll be in the office there soon after the show. See you soon.
See you.
Take it easy. See you next week. And let's bring in now IAG Managing Editor Ben Blashke, all the way from Sydney again. Ben, how are you?
Pretty good, Andrew. Yeah, enjoying once again a lovely day here in Sydney.
Okay, getting very used to that picture behind you. You might have to do some change outs or something from time to time. Very good. Oh, but well, another big week you gave me, but not quite as big as some of the other weeks. But still a pretty decent week in the Asia Pacific gaming industry, wasn't it?
Yeah, look, we'll go through them very shortly, but there were a couple of pretty significant stories certainly this week across different parts of Asia. So, even as we head towards the end of the year, and certainly the Christmas period tends to get a bit quieter anyway in terms of the news cycle, but not really slowing down that much in the lead up.
No, we've got the satellites in Macau, which are a big story at the moment. They've all got to close by December 31, and they've all announced dates. And we've got a few other bits and pieces. Of course, we've got Star in Sydney, what's going on there, and all sorts of other bits and pieces. Well, let's get into it. Oscar, why don't you bring up the first? We've got 10 stories for the viewers this week to go through. And we were talking about the satellites a moment ago. Lark, or Hoi Sun Mun as it's called in Chinese, will soon be acquired by SJM, brought into the fold so that it can continue operations beyond December 31, but no longer as a satellite, but actually as an owned SJM casino, Ben.
Yes, certainly a strategic acquisition for SJM. It's Lark, for those who don't know Macau so well, is right in the heart of the action on the Macau Peninsula, right just across the road from Wynn Macau, right near MGM Macau, so next door to Star World as well. So great little spot there. And, you know, the acquisition by SGM has been pretty well received by analysts. They do see it as a long-term positive. They think it will add value to the company, positive EBITDA. I expect they'll move a few more tables into there from some of their other properties as well to take full use of that space there. So it'll be interesting to see, you know, Andrew, as the satellite situation has calmed itself down and plays itself out, the sort of new Macau that we enter in 2026 and the new SJM we see in 2026, which will include Lark.
So what will they have? They'll have Lisboa, Grand Lisboa Palace, and they'll have Lark, and they'll have Oceanus. And is that it? Is that it?
That is it. There is a bit of rumor going around about Landmark. What is happening with Landmark? It's the one satellite that no announcement has been made on yet as per closure or acquisition. It was not flagged as being an acquisition target by SJM, but there is a little bit of talk. We don't know how accurate this is, but there's a bit of talk about maybe Landmark itself is trying to find itself a buyer.
Yeah, I would imagine so. And quite a good location there, sort of opposite Star World across Friendship Road there. So, and it does get a little bit of action. Fortuna's announced that it's going to close, hasn't it?
Yeah, 10th of December.
10th of December, Fortuna. So, because that's probably maybe the best around that area in terms of turnover, or maybe it's Lark, not sure, but I know that Fortuna did very well. So that'll be 5. Come on, let's do the math. Then you'll have Sands. We'll have Sands, Venetian, Parisian, Plaza, and Londoner. Right? Have I got that right? That's 5.
That's right.
Yep. So 5 and 5. Galaxy will have Galaxy, Macau, and Star World. So that's 2. A Broadway might count as a separate casino for DICJ purposes, I think, even though it's physically connected. I think it does, yeah. So Broadway, let's call it 3 for Galaxy, and then 2 for MGM, obviously MGM Cotai, MGM Macau, 2 for Wynn Palace, and Wynn. And who have I missed? Melco. So what do we got there? Altira, Studio City, and City of Dreams, and that will be it. Just the 3. They lost their satellite, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what do we got there? 4, 7 plus 13, 20. So we'll be down to 20 casinos in Macau. That's quite interesting. I remember when it was about 45. So a lot of consolidation, like all industries, as they mature, they go through M&A and consolidation, fewer and fewer small operators and more big operators. So that will really settle things down for the remaining 7 years of the current concession, from 1st of January 26 through to 31st of December 32. Only 7 years to go, and it happens all over again. So it'll only be 5 years before people start talking about it. It was too short, that 10-year concession, I think.
Yeah, it went very fast. I mean, it was only a couple of years ago. There was a big lead up, wasn't there? With
there was.
Putting in their applications and discussions. Will there be? I think Genting was sort of in the mix briefly there. So I guess we'll go through all of that again. I assume we'll have a pretty similar outcome as well.
Yeah, I think so too. Remember, they changed the law as well. There was the public consultation before they changed the law. That 14-part series I wrote, that huge thing, they got a massive number of hits. Anyway, interesting. So Lark could add some bottom line, some desperately needed bottom line to SJM. All right, enough on that in the satellites. What's next, Oscar? Yeah, I threw this one in to highlight Galaxy's approach here in Thailand. So a friend of IAG's, Kevin Clayton, former CMO of Galaxy and now Chief Brand Officer for Thailand for Galaxy. So he's leading the push for Thailand by Galaxy. I know Galaxy would love to be in Thailand. They really, really bullish and love it. Of course, it's all on the back burner right now with the new Prime Minister, and he's very anti-gaming, and in fact, he recriminalized poker tournaments, didn't he? After they were decriminalized just for 2 months. So. But their Galaxy's attitude here seems to be to stay in the news and keep their name out there. There are two schools of thought here. One school of thought is lay low, and one school of thought is just just respectfully and quietly be out there, so that if it ever does rear its head again, your name is known by people. I'd probably subscribe to the second school of thought, to be honest, to keep your name in the mix. What do you think about this, Ben?
Yeah, look, I watched this panel that Kevin Clayton was on. Very interesting panel. Quite a lot of different discussions around shaping the economy for Thailand moving forward. And of course, Kevin was the guy on this panel to talk about tourism specifically. And interesting points that Kevin was making generally. Of course, he suggested the establishment of a tourism board comprising airline CEOs, CEOs of large travel businesses, other experts in the areas of tourism businesses, to come together to form a sort of a formal Thai tourism board. He's of the opinion that the current board isn't really positioned to do that job particularly well. They should perhaps serve more of a marketing service for tourism, but he thinks this board should be established. But I think the broader point he was making was that Thailand can't really afford to sit back and rely on its natural tourism resources. It does need to keep up with your Singapore's and Japan's, who are also relying on some, pretty impressive man-made attractions, be they integrated resorts or other. So that was sort of one of the key points he was making, is that don't fall asleep at the wheel, Thailand. You have got a lot to offer, but you need to you need to reinvent the wheel a little bit sometimes.
Yeah, I think the current one is the Tourism Council, I think, not board, and I think that's a government body. And what he's proposing would be more in the nature of something a mix between private and government, probably funded by the government, but with a mix of private sector CEOs and some government reps, maybe some academics on there as well. Look, he's very right. Thailand is I believe it is the number one, or was the number one inbound tourism country in the world, either Thailand or France, I think. Something like 60 to 80 million, maybe the numbers are in the story, something like 60 to 80 million inbound visitors every year, but it's dropped. I think it's dropped from maybe it's 60 to 48 or something. Rings a bell. Oscar, if you can hear me, just scroll down a bit in the story.
That was tourism investment, I believe, 60 billion to 48 billion. The numbers are about 40 million down to 33 million visitors a year.
Is that what it is? Okay, that's a big drop, isn't it? That's 2.5 times 7. So what's that? 14. That's almost 20%. And a lot of that's China, and Asia. It's the Asian century. We've got a rising middle class in Asia. Asia's getting wealthier. And what's going to happen? There's going to be more tourism, of course. There's going to be more outbound tourism. People are going to take holidays, vacations, close to their country at first, then within the region, and then internationally around the globe. So you can expect tourism to increase massively in Asia over the next few decades. I'm sure it will, and it has been, and that trend will continue. And tourism, Thailand really missing out because, it's great for backpackers. It's great for your sort of nature visit. It's good for it's a young person's tourism destination, I think, Thailand. I think people who are maybe wealthier, more independent travelers, quite frankly, the ones as a government you probably want coming to your country as tourists, spending more money, going to like upmarket restaurants and spending money on retail and spending money in, $400 hotel rooms instead of $30 hostels and things like that. They're not really attracted by Thailand right now. There's nothing really there for them. So it was interesting. We did the TECR event in June. I spent a bit of time in Thailand for that event. And yeah, it just didn't have the zing that it maybe had for me when I was a younger man. So interesting points by Kevin Clayton there. All right, we'll move on to the next one. What else have we got, Oscar? Oh, I just thought I would throw this in because it was very nice of Francis Lloyd, chairman of Galaxy Entertainment Group, to do this. He recorded a little video thanking the judges and discussing his 7 years at the top, Ben.
Yeah, look, Francis Lloyd has always been very respectful and very appreciative of events like this that we hold, which is very nice for him to do. Andrew, you and I have often discussed whether, the senior executives pay a lot of attention to the Power 50 because, occasionally we have people come along and say, oh, we don't pay attention to that. But we know they actually do. They do keep quite a close eye on it.
They do.
We certainly hear a lot of feedback every year once our top 50, our Power 50 is announced. So, it just is very, very nice, as you say, for Francis Lloyd to actually sit down and make this video and just talking about, what it means to him, what it means to the Galaxy team to be recognised in this manner.
Yeah, so if we won't play it now, but for the viewers, just go to asgam.com and you can play. It's only 2 or 3 minutes, and it's quite nice video. And there he is with the trophy and the certificate behind him. Yeah, quite nice of him to do that. And of course, Power 50 every year on the first Friday in November. So it will be on the Friday, the 6th of November, 2026. We already have the venue organised. We haven't announced it yet, but we hope to announce it soon, maybe even this year, or if not this year, it'll be very early next year. And so save the date because it'll be around before you know it. Only 11 months away, 6th of November, 2026. Okay, let's move on. What's next, Oscar? Yeah, Ben, maybe you want to do this one?
Well, I mean, I'll let you speak at it primarily, Andrew, because you spoke to Sue Kim. But just, I think that should point out that you spoke to him only a couple of hours after the regulators in New South Wales and Queensland granted probity approval for Bally's to complete its acquisition of a significant stake in Star. Of course, in partnership with Bruce Matheson's investment holdings, they hold a combined 61% now. I did notice a couple of filings over the past 24 hours that's in motion now. Those securities,
the conversion.
The conversion of the securities, that's all happening as we speak. So, whether it's effective right now within the next couple of days, it will be Bally's and investment holdings holding 61% of Star, and Bally specifically holding about 38% of Star, Andrew.
Yeah, I mean, Sue Kim's made himself very available to us. He has recognised that IAG is a good platform for him to get his message out to the industry about what he plans to do, and he's made it. I mean, there's two types of casino bosses. There's the ones that talk, and there's the ones that don't. He's prepared to talk, which I think is better because you're communicating with the industry, you're communicating with your own staff and your vendors, and even your customers to a certain extent. We even just get players coming and visiting IAG all the time, as is evidenced by our 112,000 hits on the Manny Villar story, which is another story we won't go into. So yeah, look, Sue Kim's been very open, and that's his discussions with me has led to me being on Sky News as well and talking to Australia in general about that. So he was very candid. Perhaps we can sort of look at those 4 dot points there. They're the major sort of things that it's a long interview, but that's the summary that you did. They expect to save hundreds of millions in costs, and they expect to increase revenue by hundreds of millions. And they've had a dozen or so guys on the ground who have been investigating and checking it out. I mean, they couldn't be formally active because they didn't have control yet, and this was with permission of Star. They didn't do anything wrong, they think that they can turn this company around. And look, Bally's, I mean, it might seem like we're a bit of a cheerleader for Bally's. Not at all. We are a cheerleader for the industry, and we want to see the industry do well, and we want to see Star do well. And I know you particularly want to see Star do well because you've got shares been sitting at 11 cents. I always rib you about every time. Yes, indeed. But look, in all seriousness, we want to see Asia Pacific integrated resort businesses do well, and we want to see Star do well. The last thing we want to see them do is go broke, and they were within a whisker of going broke, let's be honest. And so we want to see Bally's do well because they're in charge now. Bally's have their fans, Bally's have their detractors, and the proof of the pudding will be in the eating. Let's see what happens. Let's see how it rolls out. So we wish him all the best of luck. And he did say, I mean, I'll just scroll down. Let's go through those other 3 dot points. What else did he say? Plan to convert their subordinated debt into equity immediately. Well, as you just said, he's doing that right now. I think Anne Ward at the AGM on Tuesday said that would be done by the end of this week. Well, today is the end of this week. So let's see. In the interview, Sue Kim hoped to have it done by Tuesday. Obviously, it wasn't quite done. That was a pretty ambitious target, but it will be very soon. And I asked him, what changes will you make immediately? He said leadership changes at the property level are necessary, which obviously makes sense because, let's be honest, the properties haven't been doing well. Not necessarily of the fault of the current leaders, because there's been a litany of, it's been a revolving door at the top of Star for the group CEO and the CEO of the properties and other C-level positions as well, hasn't it, Ben? You've covered a lot of that.
Well, I mean, the interesting thing, Andrew, is that during the second Bell review into Star, one of the things that was identified was a lack of leadership, particularly at property level. At that particular time, Star didn't have CEOs appointed in at least 2 of their 3 properties. And the interesting thing is that right now they don't have CEOs in their 3 properties either. Well, Janelle Campbell's announced she will leave the Star Sydney, so she's there at the moment. She's announced her departure. Same for Daniel Finch up at Brisbane, and Jess Mellor departed the Star Gold Coast recently. So again, Star finds himself without property leadership at any of their 3 casinos moving forward. So again, well, I think as Sue Kim, as you said, he sort of points out that that will be a priority to get all that sorted, and I'm sure he's got his own people or some people in mind that could fill that role.
Yeah, and the other thing he said was when I sort of said, your people, he sort of pushed back a little bit in that and said, look, yeah, we will bring some people in. Yes, we will. But also they're very, very keen to recruit at the local level, find people from within, maybe people who are not in property or in industry. So maybe there might be other people operating in the industry within Australia or elsewhere in the world, or even from other industries. It's possible. So he was quite quick to mention, it's not like they bring their team in and just take over. He's not really proposing that at all. Sure, there'll be a few people. He'll join the board, as will that's George. George, is it Pepios or Pep? Forgotten his name just for a moment. But the other guy who I hear is very good. I've heard very. I don't know if you can find it. If you search George, you'll find it in there in the article. The other guy, there it is, George. I can't read it. Papania. Yeah, I'll learn how to say that. Obviously, I'm sure I'll meet George at some point. But those 2 will join the board, and Bruce Matheson Jr. has already joined the board as a non-exec director, hasn't he, Ben?
He has, yeah. Now, Andrew, something interesting. On my LinkedIn feed this morning, a post just appeared on my LinkedIn feed that I was having a read, and it was referencing Star. I was mentioning the fact that there's been a bit of a spate, particularly in Australia, of casinos to solve this recent regulatory issues around AML, etc. There's been a lot of banking people hired in senior roles at board level at these companies, but the post sort of pointed out the fact that banking and casinos are 2 very different industries, and to run a casino profitably and securely and safely and everything you need to consider, you really need people with casino experience. And I think that's one of Star's issues at the moment, is that a lot of the casino people are gone and a lot of banking people are in there running it. So, just speculating that perhaps, Bally's had a history of turning casinos around. Perhaps that's a good place for them to start.
Look, I agree wholeheartedly. I made this comment a lot, and casino people in Australia sort of became toxic after Bell 1, Bell 2, the Fink down at the Finkelstein. Sorry, I call him the Fink. Finkelstein down at. I mean, after all those inquiries, I'm talking about the Finkelstein Royal Commission. Casino people became toxic. So it's sort of, can't hire someone from the casino industry to work in a casino because they're all bad. And that's silly. And I couldn't agree with you more. They're hiring people from banking, finance, insurance. Steve McCann himself is from Lend-Lease. Nothing against Steve McCann as a person, but his background is not a casino background, although he did spend a little bit of time at Crown, but that was really just to sell it to Blackstone. So I think, they've got to get some casino people who know what they're doing. I mean, the casino industry, I've been involved in the casino industry for 39 years. it is a really, really unusual industry. It's a niche industry. It's the only industry where your revenue can be negative, or one of the few. I suppose insurance maybe, where your revenue can be negative and you go backwards. And I find a lot of non-casino executives brought into the casino industry. They have a bad day. They wake up, they get the flash report in the morning for what happened last night, and they freak out because they're not used to that. Whereas casino people understand that that's part of the game. So it's not just that; it's many, many other things as well. AML issues. Service culture in a way that is different from hotels and other hospitality industries. So anyway, good luck to Sue Kim and his team, and they'll be running the show imminently. We must be within days. It must be very, very close that they actually take the keys and sit down in the driver's seat and get cracking. So we wish them all the best. And obviously we'll follow up in the new year with that. And you and I will be at the Regulating the Game conference in March, in around mid-March. I think it is March 10, 11, something like that, in Sydney. So that'll be, I'll probably, well, tell the truth, I'll probably stay at Crown, but maybe I'll stay at Star. We'll probably, you and I will probably go and have a beer there and a bit of a walk around and meet some people. And it might be good to meet some people who they might actually, there might be some people there that we actually know, as opposed to at the moment where it's full of all these sort of random people that we don't know in the industry. Well, you might know a few of them, Ben.
Not as many as I used to, Andrew. A lot of them are gone from when I used to know a lot of people at Star. So it's only down to a handful now.
Yeah. Oh, well, anyway, good luck to them. Okay, all right. What's next, Oscar? Oh, this is really interesting. Ben, you talk about this one. This is another Australian story. A great Australian, you could say. Kerry Packer's son, James Packer.
Yeah, certainly a very well-known Australian. Look, this is more of a, I guess, an interest story, really. A sit-down interview with James Packer by Rampart, sort of looking back at his time running Crown and his observations in hindsight and all of that. And he certainly made a few explosive comments, did James Packer. He certainly went in on some regulators, some politicians. He went in on New South Wales regulator at Philadelphia. Yeah. He went in on Daniel Andrews, the former Victorian Premier, for what James Packer alleges is breaking key promises around taxation rates. Yep. And he just in general was very, very critical of the regulatory environment in Australia, which, as the headline says there, he believes is trying to destroy the Australian casino industry. Well, he's probably not alone in that view. I have noticed James Packer has copped a fair bit of criticism in the Australian media for some of his comments. That's probably no surprise. But there has been a little bit of commentary saying, yes, there's probably no sympathy for James Packer, but there are a couple of points he raises that are at least noteworthy and probably on the money in some way. What did you make of all of his comments, Andrew?
Yeah, a bit of a mixed bag. I mean, I've never really been a James fan. I think he made some really critical mistakes. I do know some executives who have worked directly for him and know him well, and they tend to be a bit more supportive and say that he was ill-advised. He was badly advised. He did have some, I won't name any names, but he did have some senior executives working for him that were way too aggressive. Remember all that stuff with Crown and the China when the executive and 19 of their staff, I think, got arrested in China because they wouldn't back off on marketing directly into mainland China. That was I think a product of a very aggressive approach to driving sales, driving revenue. But as Packer says himself, and he does acknowledge this, he says he was at the top. So ultimately the responsibility falls to him because he chose those executives. And if it was ill-advised, well, ultimately that's his fault. I sort of got, I don't know. I got mixed feelings about James Packer. It must be hard for him being Kerry Packer's son. Kerry Packer was such a larger than life, amazing kind of fellow that was so sort of inspirational, such a big man, such a big personality. It must have been very difficult for him to grow up in his shadow and then have to take over and prove himself, or I don't know, prove yourself is the right expression, but you know what I'm trying to say. Yeah, I think he made a I like the way he said, you know what, I give myself 5 out of 10 in business. I thought I was an 8 or a 9, but now he gives himself 5 out of 10. It takes a lot to say that. It takes a lot to admit that. I thought his performance at the not the Bell at was it Finkelstein, the one where he was on the yacht, he was on his boat and on his I mean that was just dreadful. But he's had mental health issues and you got to have a bit of a sympathy for somebody like that. So I think it was great that Joe Aston from Rampart got the interview and that that James did the interview. I see a comment there from Baller watching us at the moment saying true. So bit of support there for Packer. So look, I think it's very, very interesting. So if you haven't seen it, please jump onto asgam.com and watch the short version of the video and the story. All right, well, let's move on. What do we got next, Oscar? Macau premium mass showing strength in November. Geez, we're doing well. We're doing a good run home, isn't it, Ben?
Yeah, I mean, this is just really a continuation of the sort of news we've been seeing for around about 6 months now, certainly since May in Macau, is an uptick in revenues driven by premium mass. The talk obviously has been that the one drag from Macau still to this day is sort of the base mass or the grind mass, your everyday player. But as City mentions, they're seeing some signs that perhaps we're starting to see a bit more of that grind mass come into Macau. Of course, if we get that pumping alongside the higher end, which has been going very well for 6 months, then good days ahead for Macau, Andrew.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's chasing the premium mass at the moment. They're knocking walls down in between rooms to make suites for those guys. If we get the bottom end going as well, look out. Macau's going to have a very, very good year next year. And I think it already will have a very good year next year in 2026. So that's interesting. That was that was interesting. Yeah, very good. Very interesting. Okay, all right, let's move on. What's next? Yeah, Macau's going to do well next year. Raymond Voon moving over to Sands China. Sean McCreery departing. Quite a few changes over at Sands China, not just those two, but Virginia Lamb leaving and a few others, Ben.
Yeah, they announced a whole raft. It was an internal memo that I think most of the media in Macau got their hands on, Andrew, during the week.
Doesn't take long.
Led with Raymond Voon, of course, departing from Galaxy, heading to Sands China. Sean McCreery has obviously been with Sands for over a decade now, so on his way out. And obviously, Sands have sort of flagged that they were going to be more aggressive in the market and make some changes recently. So perhaps this is all part of that, reimagining themselves heading into 2026.
Yes. So, well, I mean, it's interesting. Rob Goldstein has been making comments about we're not doing as well as we should. I think Londoner has not performed as well as they had imagined it would, and that's a cause for concern. So there's some causes for concern over there at Sands, and they need to make some changes. And of course, Rob Goldstein, long-time deputy to Sheldon Adelson himself, departing 1st of March next year to become purely just as a senior advisor for 2 years, and Patrick Dumont taking over as chairman and CEO, the son-in-law of Miriam Adelson, the major shareholder and widow of Sheldon Adelson. So that'll be interesting. Some big changes coming up from Sands, and I guess it's now been over 5 years since Sheldon Adelson's passed away, and I guess Sands is now moving into really moving into a post Mr. Adelson world, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think we've certainly seen the influence of Grant Chum. I mean, his sort of star has risen substantially in recent years, and again with Rob Goldstein stepping aside and Patrick Dumont coming into that head role. I mean, that's one more experienced leader stepping aside. So again, we see perhaps Grant Chum's influence just rising that little bit more again. Of course, he's on the ground here in Asia 24/7, overseeing Sands China, and also he oversees Marina Bay Sands as well. So certainly that's going to be significant in just sort of how the company is run from the top.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. I mean, Grant was obviously very much Rob Goldstein's selection, so we'll see how the relationship between Patrick. Not to say that there's any issue with the relationship with Patrick, but we'll just see how when Rob goes, how that plays out and how these changes play out. It's good at least that they're recognizing that they need to make changes, because I think they did. I think they were getting very complacent, and Sands does have a reputation in the industry for doing things their own way. They don't really play well with others, and arguably they don't need to because they're so big. So let's just see how things play out. That'll be interesting next year to see how all that rolls out. All right, what's next, Oscar? The Ho Tram finally got their locals gaming after, I don't know, 20 years.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming. And Andrew, I remember when you and I were there. It must have been a decade ago when we sort of first went there and spent a bit of time there to run a poker tournament alongside Asian Poker Tour. Beautiful property. Problem was it was very empty.
Yeah,
so,
no players. That's pretty fundamental problem.
Look, I think that they've worked hard to develop over the years a bit of a non-gaming strategy and putting on events, mixed martial arts, all that sorts of things to attract people from Ho Chi Minh City. It's about 2 hours away by car, but obviously locals gaming opportunity to be a complete game changer for them. It's under a 5-year pilot program. We've just seen Corona Resort was under a pilot. That's just been given permanent local status. So Ho Tram now will welcome players. They've told me as soon as possible, as soon as they can get themselves ready, which probably won't take them very long because they've been aware of it for a while now. I think they'll probably be welcoming players within weeks, possibly.
Look, we were down there, as you say, we were down there 10 years ago. We basically worked down there, and we set up a poker room down there, and I was effectively SVP of poker, I guess, and worked down there with the team, and look, great, like you say, great property, great hardware, excellent service staff. The Vietnamese were really, really good at working in the property. A lot of potential, but no players because no locals gaming, and 2 hours out of Ho Chi Minh. Pretty hard, pretty tall order. Now with the locals, it's going to be very, very interesting to see how this plays out. They do need a very good bus program. Bus program is crucial to that property, shipping people backwards and forwards with Ho Chi Minh. I hope that they've got that really nailed, the bus program, because that needs to be top notch. We're getting people backwards and forwards, and look, and I hope they do some maintenance. I had heard that it had been let go a little bit because there were financial problems. It was sold by who was that guy that had it? God, I've gone black. Phil Falcone. Sold it to Warburg Pincus guy. I think it was 2019 now, wasn't it? 2019. Of course, we heard about it and we asked them, and they completely denied it. And of course, a couple of weeks later, it was true. And Warburg Pincus has taken over Walt Powers down there. And I had heard that it got down to, there were some maintenance issues and so forth, but it was sold for cents in the dollar, quite low, and it had financial problems. Beautiful golf course down there. They have, or had. And so I haven't really been down there for quite some time. So I suppose I should get down there at some point and take a look. But it'd be interesting to see how things play out for them. They had maybe about 800, 700 slot machines. Maybe it was 550, something like that. Originally, it was going to be 1,000, but they got less. I don't know if they've done any capital expenditure updating those slot machines. Those slot machines will be 10 years old now. So let's see. And you know what? There's competition there because there's a lot of slot clubs in Saigon, in Ho Chi Minh City. People forget. They say, "Oh, there's no casinos in Saigon." No, there isn't, but there are a number of quite major slot clubs in 5-star hotels in Saigon to compete with. So, again, well, good luck to Ho Tran. Let's see if they can make a go of it. And obviously, this will be, like you say, this should be a game changer for them.
Yes, as I can see Willow just trying to make an appearance in the background of my screen there. So that's my dog for everybody else. So, no, yes. She seems to be settled now, which is good. I think one of the interesting things with Vietnam, Andrew, is that the pilot program they ran down in Phu Quoc, it wasn't really a place we're going to learn too much from having a pilot program of locals. It's much more of a tourism area. So I think this one will be much more of a, we'll see much more of an impact at Ho Tram from having locals gaming. So certainly something to keep an eye on over the next 12 months. And
well, you have to fly to get the food clock, right? It's an island.
Yeah.
You have to fly there. So that's the
exactly
difference.
Right. Not to mention that the program was held during COVID as well, so that didn't help either. So double whammy down there. But I'm aware that Ho Tram's made a few key hires as well in anticipation of this announcement. We'll probably announce a few of them ourselves in the coming weeks if we're given permission to. So so interesting times for them going ahead.
Yes, we won't. We do know some of the hires, and sometimes we break news, and sometimes we wait until they officially announce it. I think in this case, we'll probably wait until they officially announce it. So there'll be some changes down there. Let's see how it rolls. All right, what's next? Oh, the Baha Mar saga. Finally, is it over after well over a decade?
Yeah, I've been covering this legal issue for at least 18 months now, Andrew. It's been back and forth again between the original owner and China Construction America.
Well, I'm going to interrupt you for a second. You've been covering it for the entire time you've been working for IAG. It's like over a decade.
Pretty much,
This particular issue now, but it really has been a saga all the way back from the beginning, hasn't it?
Yeah, look, I mean, it's actually such a long and complicated history that I recommend people go in and have a look at the story, because it's quite a long story, and it sort of details a lot of how that all happened, how that all played out. But just very quickly, the original owner, BML Properties, needed to acquire a loan to build this property here, Baha Mar. It basically went to a China-backed company to get that money. The allegation from the original owner is that company then slacked off a little bit, didn't get the job done properly, just did enough to sort of run the owner down into bankruptcy, basically, so that it could take ownership itself. Gave ownership to Chow Tai Fook, ultimately, the Hong Kong jewelry giant that also has investments across various gaming properties across Asia Pacific.
And 10% and 10% of SJM.
10% of SJM. And so that's the allegation. And so this court case has been going on for many years over he said, she said, they did this, we did this. Ultimately, there was a finding last year that China Construction Americas was liable to pay $1.6 billion. They obviously went back and disputed that. The two parties have obviously come together and come to an agreement. I don't know what that settlement amount is. I'm sure it's still a decent amount. It won't be 1.6 billion though. And so, as this story says, the case appears to be on its way to being settled.
I guarantee you it's somewhere between 0 and 1.6 billion.
Definitely somewhere in that range.
Somewhere in that range.
Probably not 0 and probably not 1.6.
No. I mean, if I had to have a wild stab, like, I don't know, maybe $1 billion at the most, probably hundreds of millions. Just take this money and go away. Yeah, interesting story. And the property's obviously for people who don't know, the property's in the Bahamas. So the Asian angle is the Chow Tai Fook angle and the China Construction Bank angle. Yeah, but of course now with IAG's merger with CDC Gaming in the Americas, CDC Gaming does cover the Bahamas as part of the Americas. So maybe I'll find myself heading down there one day. Actually, I'm planning to go to South America next year. Planning to go to Peru for the IAG, the International Association of Gaming Regulators event in October after G2E. Maybe I'll pop into Bahamas on the way back. That'd be nice.
Well, this looks like a good place for the annual IAG retreat, Andrew.
Oh, now you're talking.
You and I and Jason can head down there for a week and do some planning.
Sounds a week? Good. 3 weeks?
2 weeks.
That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Yeah. Okay, let's move on before that becomes a serious suggestion. What do we got here? Genting Malaysia. Well, we've had a not so great Genting result for Resorts World and a good result for Genting Malaysia here.
Yeah, lots happening with
New York, obviously.
Yeah, lots happening with Genting Malaysia at the moment. Of course, the parent company is in the process of buying up as much of Genting Malaysia as it can. I think it's around about 63% it holds at this time. It did own 49.4% about a month ago.
So it's trying to take it private, right?
trying to take it private. It's just buying on market mostly now, or if there's any shareholders offering up their shares. Most analysts are saying the offer price is a little bit low, so possibly they might struggle to get much higher than around 65%. But either way, they're building up their ownership of Genting Malaysia ahead of the New York announcement. Of course, Resorts World New York City looking to get a full commercial license in New York. It's expected to get one. There are 3 bidders left for up to 3 licenses.
Just for people who may not know, as opposed to what they currently have, which is machines only.
Yeah, exactly right. So a decision is expected to be made on that on the 1st of December, just a couple of days away, with an announcement before the end of this year. So, I mean, I think everybody will be shocked if Genting did not receive a license. It's just expected that they will. So that's expected to be considerably quite an earner for them. So you can understand why the parent is looking to acquire Genting Malaysia, and just some pretty solid results for them in Q3. They had a pretty slow start to the year, but starting to improve heading towards the end of the year.
Yep. Interesting story, Genting. I mean, they're the most global gaming company, integrated resort company in the world, with the, as I always say, with the glaring omission of Macau. They don't have anything in Macau, but apart from that, they have they have Singapore, Resorts World Sentosa. They have Genting Malaysia with Resorts World Genting, as it is now, the former Genting Highlands, and of course Resorts World Las Vegas in Las Vegas, and then other interests they have in the UK and Bimini, whatever it is. They have a small property as well, Bikini or something. So all right, good luck to Genting. All right, let's see. There you go. Elsewhere, UK and Egypt. Thanks, Oscar. Oh, that's it. Well, you can see in the ticker down the bottom of the screen here, we still have 2 events left for the year, our 2 Christmas parties. Friday, the 5th of December, exactly 1 week from today, which will be at the ever-popular Palace Reserve Club at Wynn Palace. It's going to be great. I was actually at Wynn Palace the other day and walking around, checking it out. Looks great at the moment. They're doing better. They're doing better at the moment, Wynn. And so if you have an invitation, if you've RSVP'd to that event, we'll see you in a week's time. If you haven't and you want to, let us know, and we probably can get you an invitation. And then exactly 1 week after that, on Friday, the 12th of December, at Solaire in Entertainment City in Manila, the BRB, the former Baccarat Room and Bar, now just simply called the BRB. What a great venue that is. So we'll see you there on Friday, the 12th of December. And again, if you've RSVP'd for that, we'll see you there. And if you haven't, let us know. And then we will be exactly 1 week after that, Friday, the 19th of December, will be our traditional breakup day. We'll all go to lunch here in Macau, as we do every year. You won't be with us, Ben, because you're having a nice little sabbatical there in Sydney at the moment.
Yeah, I might have my own lunch on that day, though, here in Sydney, Andrew. So,
yes, you can send us a picture. You can have a sausage roll.
Well.
Oh, okay. You have a sausage roll and a little Australian flag. There you go.
Cool.
And and then that'll be the end of the year for us. And we'll be back on Monday, the 5th of January. All right, we'll have a great weekend. Another interesting week in gaming, in the Asia Pacific gaming industry. And we'll see you next week, and hopefully at Wynn next Friday. All right, it's bye from me. Come on, Ben. There we go. And we'll see you next week. Okay, bye.